I dropped nearly 18 pounds in 4 months at the start of this year, even being a single, self-employed mummy who runs a business that basically doesn't stop. So I am here to share the 5 main things that I focused on, because if you are a busy, stressed out mum who is spinning all the plates but still wants to feel good in her body right now, trust me, if I can do it, so can you. Now, let me just start by prefacing this that it is not going to be easy. We can make it simple, but simple doesn't always mean easy. Being a mum and being on a fat loss journey makes it twice as hard because there is always going to be something out of your control. And the best results that you get from a fat loss journey are when you are in complete control of everything. But if we can go into a fat loss journey with that mindset, then when those obstacles do come along, you know exactly how to handle them. If you are new here, my name is Charlotte. I am a 35-year-old single mum to a 4.5-year-old, and I run an online women's coaching business, mainly helping women drop body fat, gain confidence both in their bodies and in the gym, and I walk the walk as well. This year, I put myself through a pretty aggressive fat loss journey, which saw me drop nearly 18 pounds in 4 months and was finished off with an incredible body confidence photo shoot with me and some of my clients. And there are 5 main things that I focused on really heavily whilst I was in this fat loss journey to get the results that I did. I promise you, if you take on board these 5 things, you are going to have a much more successful fat loss journey too. So here they are. Okay, so number 1, I ate the same breakfasts and lunches every day. For me, I had 2 options for breakfasts and 2 options for my lunches. And I simply cycled between these for the 4 months, the whole way through my fat loss journey. The breakfast that I had was either porridge and protein powder with some fruit and honey on top of it, or it was Greek yogurt with some protein powder mixed in and honey and fruit on it. Little bit of a theme there. Lunches, it was either chicken sausages with baby potatoes and veg, or it was meatballs with spaghetti and tomato stirring sauce. Now you might be thinking, Charlotte, that is so bloody boring. And you are right to an extent. However, hear me out, because this is an absolute hill that I will die on. As a busy mum trying to navigate a fat loss journey, there is a lot of times you are not going to be in control of what you are doing. And a successful fat loss journey loves control. There is a thing called decision fatigue. And being a busy mum on a fat loss journey, you are going to be making more day-to-day decisions about how to navigate your fat loss journey than someone who isn't a mum. Reason being is because our little tiny dictators control our lives. You may plan to hit your steps one way, you may plan to have your nutrition another way, but something crops up and therefore you have to change it. Breakfasts and lunches are something that I knew I would always have a lot of control over, and therefore just having the same thing every day meant that I reduced the amount of decision making I was doing on a day-to-day basis. So then, if something cropped up and I did have to make a decision, I had the energy to make the right decision rather than just the easiest one, which probably wouldn't have aligned with my overall fat loss goals. This meant that I massively reduced my decision fatigue. I just woke up every single day, knew what I was having for breakfast, knew what I was having for lunch, and I could make a decision on my evening tea with my little boy in mind and something that we could enjoy together. Number 2 was that I made sure every single evening before I went to sleep that I had fully updated my next day's diary for MyFitnessPal, snacks and everything. Now, if planning your meals out is something that you struggle with, I do have a free meal planning guide that you can download. Simply hit the link in my description. But here's a little bit of advice about how I did this. So, breakfasts and lunches we already knew were going to be the same every single day. I just made sure that I copied those across onto the next day. After that, the second most important thing was making sure that I hit my protein. So for everything else, I added in my protein items, and before I added any other food, I made sure that that number was where it needed to be. After this, I then added my carbs, my fats, the rest of the stuff that I was going to be eating for the day. Not only did this mean that I had confidence before I went to bed that I was going to be hitting my goals, but if for whatever reason the stuff I added in wasn't going to hit my goals, I didn't quite hit my protein or I was over on my calories, I had time to do something about it. I cannot stress enough that if you want a successful fat loss journey, the goal is to be proactive rather than reactive. If you're filling in your MyFitnessPal at the end of the day and then you see, oh, for God's sake, I haven't hit my protein today, you've got no time to do anything about it and you've probably already used all of your calories. What we want to do, flip reverse it so that you are going to bed knowing that when you wake up the next day, you've got everything planned in. What it also meant is that if on the day I got that little voice in my head that was like, oh, shall we just have a little biscuit or two? And I hadn't planned that, I already knew what I did have planned, so I could say to myself, no, it's fine, I've already got this coming up. If I knew I had a couple of 100 calories left over, I would probably have caved into that thought. Moving on now to number 3. I planned all of my workouts in on a Sunday for the following week, and I made as much effort as possible to get at least my first 2 workouts in by Wednesday. I was only doing 3 workouts a week, so that meant that if something cropped up and I couldn't do one of those 2 workouts, I still had 4 days of the week to get them in. Now, I know at the start of a week, you have got so many things on your plate that you're trying to think about. You've got the kids to get to school, you've got work to get back to after a weekend off, and it is quite easy to talk yourself out of going to the gym thinking, well, I've already got loads on my plate at the start of the week, I'll push my workouts to the end of the week when I've got on top of all of this. However, if you choose to plan your workouts for the end of the week, and then something crops up at the end of the week, you are going to risk not having any time to do that workout and therefore having to skip it for the week and move on to the next week. This did mean sometimes I was getting up at 5 a.m. on a Monday morning to go and get my workout in before I started work. It also meant that I was training at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday night to still tick that box. But finishing that workout on a Wednesday, knowing that I had got 2 of my workouts done already and I only had to worry about 1 more workout before the end of the week, meant that I felt a lot calmer and a lot more confident that I was going to get the results I was looking for. So yes, it might mean that Mondays, Tuesdays are pretty intense days if you're also trying to get a workout in. But what you have to remember is that fat loss likes consistency. And if one week you are only managing to get 1 workout in, the next week 2, the next week 1, maybe then 3 workouts, you're going to find that your results come through a lot slower. Number 4 was all about working with my lifestyle, being a busy single mum, rather than trying to work against it. So what I did was I made sure that I had slightly higher calories on a weekend and I was slightly more restrictive during the week, so that on weekends when I needed more flexibility to have days out with my son or to spend time with family and friends, I had that little bit of extra flexibility available to me. And during the week when my son was at school, I was in a really solid routine, I knew I could be a little bit more restrictive. I have tried it in the past to have the same calories every single day, and it just didn't work for me. So having that little bit more flexibility on a weekend, but knowing I was still hitting the same weekly total for my calories by the end of the week, again gave me a lot more confidence and made sure that my fat loss journey fit the lifestyle that I had rather than trying to work against it. Number 5 was that I made sure that I had somebody to hold me accountable that wasn't going to let me off the hook if I had a bad day or a bad week. Now, even though I am a women's fat loss coach who has helped hundreds of women drop between 10 and 30 kilos, I am still a busy mum just like you, trying to spin all of the plates, remembering dentist appointments, doctor's appointments, school trips, remembering to MOT the car, remembering to pay the bills. And so my own priorities will get pushed to the bottom of the pile if I don't have somebody else reminding me to keep on top of them. So even though I'm a coach, I had my own coach to hold me accountable to the goals that I wanted to achieve. Whoever it is that you get to hold you accountable, make sure that they actually will call you out if you are letting your priorities to yourself slide. Having to check in with my coach every single week and explain when I hadn't hit my targets and why I hadn't hit them not only felt really uncomfortable, but it gave me the opportunity to reflect on how I could do things better, or if the targets and the goals that we had set for me just weren't realistic. And if it was the latter, it gave us the opportunity to change it and make sure that my program really did fit with the lifestyle that I had. These 5 habits showed up every single day and every single week for me over the last 4 months. And I can say, hand on heart, that is what allowed me to drop nearly 18 pounds in just 4 months. And that is why I am so passionate about sharing them with you women as well, because I know as busy mums how hard this actually is to get a grip of. You deserve to feel amazing in your body. You have given everything to everyone else, but trying to put that back into yourself can feel really challenging at times. So from me, the main things are reduce that decision making, try and keep things as consistent as possible, and try to front load your goals so that you get more done at the beginning of the week. Meaning that if things do fall out of your control, if something crops up unexpectedly, you have still got plenty of time to rearrange and reschedule and try and hit your goals before the end of that week. Okay, so I hope that you have found that useful. Please pop me a comment if you are going to give any of these tips a try. Don't forget to download that free meal planning guide as well, because I can promise you, if you follow those tips that are in there, you are going to find this process so much easier. And like I say, you deserve to feel good in your body as well. You've given everything else to your kids, to your family, to your partner. It's time to give back to you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep your eyes peeled for the next one.